What the heck did I just read? Holy smokes. Okay, I just finished 2 minutes ago and I ran in here, turned on the camera. There is a lot to talk about. This is going to be spoiler free. I do want to talk about some things in the early stages and what to expect, but this is going to be one of those books that is going to stick with me for a while. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is my first time reading any Philip K. Dick. First time with Dick, and I just I'm gonna want more Dick from now on. I man, what a life changer! Holy smokes! Okay, look at this. Look at this cover. Super weird, hey? Um, Obviously he has like I've watched a ton of the movies inspired by him, like Blade Runner, Total Recall, Minority Report. Uh, a lot of these futuristic sort of weird things. This one, man, it has. I read it because I've been in this. I wanted to go back to sci-fi and I wanted to read some more of these little guys that I have missed that I've had on my TBR forever. I went to Words in Time. I've liked that channel. He generally has a good he has a good the stuff that he recommends generally hits with me as well, except for a couple things like Blindside. I tried that and was like, I couldn't even finish it, but generally hit really well. And I found who's that? Ramel Broadcasting. Just found that this week, and they both of all the Dick, they like Ubic the most. It sounds like, and this will either be something that will be a hit with me. I'm wondering what it'll be like on a reread. I don't know if this is a 5 or like a 3. There were times halfway through this where I thought this is like I'm gasping at what's happening. It's so cool. And then, there were times at that 75% mark where I thought, "Oh no, I'm starting to white knuckle thinking this might get beyond me and I'll lose the plot and then I won't understand what happened." And I'm still trying to think, I'm still trying to consider if I really understood that ending, but uh who is Ubik? What is Ubik? Where is Ubik? You'll never guess. You'll have to find out as the extraordinary Philip K. Dick opens up new dimensions in science fiction adventure. Ubik, 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 Ubik. So, there are precogs, if you remember Minority Report, which can kind of see the future. In Minority Report, the whole thing is where they'll see a crime happening and the police go and they arrest them preemptively, even though they haven't done anything. They exist in this world still. I don't know if they exist in all these other ones, but they exist in this one. There are also people who have different kind of telekinetic or not telekinetic, like telekinesis. Is that the same thing? I'm an idiot. But the same sort of thing where there are people that have different types of gifts, and there are different agencies, like different groups that utilize these different types of people, especially these precog types, and they can be hostile towards each other. And there is this the hook for me is there is there's a couple guys that work. One owns this group, and his wife is dead or more in like a coma sort of state, even though she's dead. But you can freeze them real quick after they die, and then they kind of can be interacted with through this half life sort of situation. They call it half life, where they can kind of go in and talk with their spouse or whoever, their loved ones, and even though they're dead. And anyway, so he owns the place, this guy. And man, like I just finished it and I already forgot his name. Silly me, silly me. But I better get it. Uh, Gene Rensinter, okay, or Runcinter, and he owns this place, and they go on these different missions or whatever. He has people that work under him that have these different gifts. Another guy that works for him, Joe, which is really bad with money. They live in this world where even like everything's monetized. Where I don't know if this was supposed to be a big kind of critique on that sort of thing, but like they even can't get out of their own apartment without paying the door, and if they don't have the coins to pay the door, then they're arguing with the door. And there's some like humor in this, even though it's decidedly dark in some respects. Like, it's not a humor book, but it's funny. It's funny at times. And anyway, the hook is someone gets brought to this Joe guy who works for this Gene Runcinter. And man, this would be an amazing book. But he brings this woman, Pat, and she has this gift with her where her parents were precogs. When she was really young, she knocked over a expensive vase or whatever. And she wished that it didn't happen and was able to kind of change what happened. You know what I mean? It's kind of explaining how the precogs, when they look, they see different kind of timelines, and they can see the one that like glows the brightest, and that's the one that they select as the timeline of the future, or something like that. Whatever. It's my first time through it. And there are people that can mess with the precogs with their abilities, but they can tell when they're being messed with because none of the timelines glows the brightest. But this Pat person, she can go back, and it seems like she can select a new sort of reality. So even the people that are around her wouldn't know that anything had happened because she could go back and she could change that instance at any time. And at times in this book, you'll be reading it and they'll be talking and something will be happening, and then just almost like the next paragraph, instead of going to a new scene where it has that blank, it'll have that, like, the next line. Suddenly the person will be outside and doing something totally different, like it's totally blinked into something else. And that happens a few times. And the hook is that, like, what do we do about this person? Like, is she a danger? Is this something that we have to deal with? What the heck is Ubic? And how would you deal with, first of all, how would you deal with somebody who could change the past, who was a threat potentially, but the main people, I guess a better way of saying it, and it's right at the start too. So I'm really not spoiling beyond, the very, very start of how this kind of hooks you in. They have like a notation that they can pass to one another, this Gene and this Joe, that will say, like, if I do this marking, it means this person is not trustworthy. Keep an eye on her. And they do that for this Pat. But what do you do if you can't really talk about this person and they might have an ability that seems a little bit dangerous and can change instances that kind of she decides will go, are going poorly for her or whatever. And so that's a big part of the hook. Now, where it gets bananas, and I won't spoil the rest of it, but where it gets bananas, there is a lot of weird timeline stuff going on where like, even though they're going forward in time, there is some other directional timeline stuff happening. And it gets kind of bananas. and I don't want to say more because it's a small book, and if you say more, it's like you're saying too much. But I think it's worth it. It's very interesting. There are very interesting coincidences and ways that like people are communicating with each other. I'll just leave it there. Also, this Ubic thing, like on the back, what is Ubic? Who is Ubic? It's not really mentioned much for the first part in the book, except for in the epigraphs before the chapter, where there are these. We're in this very serious book, but every chapter has an epigraph that is like an ad. It's like, hey, have trouble with headaches? Try Ubic. Or you're sick of your dishwasher isn't working? Get a Ubic. Like it's weird how it's Ubic is like a catch-all. And man, I need to make a spray bottle that says Ubic on it to have back there. Last time I made a prop for a book that I was really into was Malazan, where I made some Kachin Chamels. I gotta make a Ubic spray can. That's how affected I am by this book. Time will tell. Time will tell if this is going to be a top 5 sci-fi for me. I'm deeply affected by it in a way I haven't been for quite some time. I wanted things like dark matter to be this good. I wanted the ending of Hyperion. I think a lot of people with Hyperion get this kind of feeling by the end. I partially got that, but this one got me. And I wonder if you've read this. What do you think about it? This would be an amazing movie, man. This would be an amazing movie if they could do it right. And I'm sure they could. Man. Really, really cool. I don't even know what to rate it. At times it's like this must be a 5 out of 5 if I'm affected by it and this will be stuck in my head for so long. And the ideas were so great. I know it won't be for everyone, though. But it is exciting, and I just flew through it. Really, really cool. Can't wait to get to the next one of his. I don't know even which one. I thought I had another one just right here, though. I might do a Scanner Darkly, but I want to get to Kurt Vonnegut and things like Permutation City and things like that, and keep going with more Arthur C. Clarke, who I love. So anyway, always great to finally get to an author and they don't disappoint. It lives up to the hype. That doesn't always happen. Maybe not everyone will have the same kind of feeling by the end of it, where they just want to think about it. Like this, if we saw this at a movie, we would be talking about it the whole way home. Really cool. There's probably audiobook versions of it. Let me look it up right now. See if there's a YouTube one for you guys, if you don't want to buy it. Ubic audiobook. There is 10 minutes and 8 seconds. So give it a try. I think it's really cool. So talk to you guys later. Bye.